Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Power hour. It's the what? Power hour. It's the who? Power hour. Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and
Since 1820, when the United States first started gathering immigration statistics, there has been no nation in the world that has sent more people to the United States than Mexico. And we're talking about legal immigration. More legal Mexican immigrants have come to this country since 1820 than the Irish, than the Germans, than the French, than any other population. The reality is that great swaths of the United States and the West were originally part of Mexico. California, Nevada.
We'll show more, a more detailed map of what was Mexico before. They like to use the term annex. I like to say stole, robbed. Yeah. You know,
Mexico was almost as big as the U.S. when it actually was.
Yeah, well, you know, these maps all jacked up too. It probably was bigger than the U.S. the way they draw stuff out. Go back just a few seconds because he named some of the states that the states what they're called today that was Mexico.
Than the French, than any other population. The reality is that great swaths of the United States and the West were originally part of Mexico. California, Nevada, parts of Utah, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado. That was all the northern territory of Mexico, and there were Mexican citizens living on that land before it became part of the United States. As they say in South Texas or in northern New Mexico, southern Colorado, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Mexico was...
In those places, they'll tell you, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Oh, I never claimed it was mine. I just said I made it the title of the show.
That's good.
Right. The border crossed us. That goes back to that Lamentations 5 that we were reading, where it says our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. This was our territory, and we never left. You just changed the lines of who owned what.
Right.
That's essentially what happened. You redrew some lines on a map and said this was yours now. And they told us that we had to stop doing things our way. We had to stop speaking Spanish. We had to stop having our culture. We had to get taxed by you now. We had to register certain things. Just changed the whole game up, but kept them there.
We became their possession.
Oh, wait. You right. Wait. Play.
quite aware that the U.S. was coming and that they were willing to expand themselves everywhere possible, especially in those areas of North America that formerly belonged to Spain, then to Mexico, but were empty, almost empty. It was a very tempting piece of land there. Mexico City said, well, we cannot really defend the northern part of our new republic unless we have a demographic push there. But we don't have enough people in Mexico to fill that empty space. Why don't invite foreigners? Why don't invite Catholic foreigners?
And you know that's the spirit of the Most High that put that thing, because it had to be. It had to be. So what he's explaining here, right, in case some of you don't realize what's happening. So he says Spain wound up pushing forward and conquering a lot of this stuff. Because I'll often hear, well, that was Gadite territory. Well, you know, the history only goes back so far to prove it out. That doesn't seem to be the case, regardless of what Gad says, because we don't have the records that really shows that. I'm not saying Mexicans didn't fight with Gadites. I mean, we all had different beefs and stuff like that. We just spoke about that a little earlier. But he says the land was not heavily populated. There's no way they kicked out all the Gadites, right? Yeah, right. So it was land that just wasn't that heavily populated. And remember, they talk to you a lot about Gad, and you'll see different maps. Again, I'm not saying I'm totally versed on this stuff, right, fully. But I'm trying to paint a picture for y'all. So he says that the land was so massive. The maps don't do it justice how much land is out in the west, southwest, northwest, right? And that they didn't have enough of a population that far north after they got their independence from Spain, right? You can look up the history and stuff like that. And basically he's saying that if they would have had the manpower, they could have defended against the United States and other countries.
Yeah.
But what they realized is that they didn't. So they said, they made a deal with the devil, essentially. And they said, let's get some Edomites to come here, right? That'll maybe open things up a little bit out here, right? Where we don't have to worry about defending the land and our borders so much. And at the same time, let's do Catholic ones because they seem all right. They seem all right. They come in with their religion. Their tenets seem like what it is. So Christianity, always in the mix. One of the elements that Esau uses, Christianity and politics. And what you're seeing time and time again when it comes to the history of our people is that's the two-pronged approach that they come and hit us with. It's Christianity, which starts with Catholicism because they're the father of all Christian denominations, and politics, right? Democracy. And that's what they come with. So they started off where they invited these people, and he's going to explain a little more what really happened. They invite, you know how like a vampire, they say you can't come in unless you invite him in?
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did. And he surely sucked the blood out of our people. Go ahead.
The Irish that were already coming to the U.S., let us receive them with open arms. But at the end,
Right, they try to talk about, oh, we weren't accepted here either, and we were in captivity and all this other stuff. Them freaking Irish, which is still Esau, it's the same people, right? Came and they were the architects, the beginning of the demise of what you see today. It's been a lasting effect of what's happened to Issachar.
When you're brought over on a ship and you're in it docks and you walk off and then you go register somewhere and you're giving a job, is far different than being brought over on a ship in shackles and chains, being drug off the ship and then sold on auction blocks. Oh, come on, stop.
Yep.
I can't stand that comparison, bro.
They were recruited to come.
Mm-hmm.
They were recruited to come. Because Esau also knew, well, damn, we ain't got enough of the Brits coming over.
Yeah.
Which is their own people, right? So I mean, they're all their own people, but at that time, their own nation. So they said, you know what? Let's invite the Irish. They dealing with some stuff over there. Let's invite the Irish.
These guys can drink whiskey and still work all day.
Right. So they sent propaganda over there to bring the Irish over. Go ahead. God, why it takes so long?
the Irish that were already coming to the U.S., let us receive them with open arms. But at the end, they were not Irish, they were not Catholic, and they brought the slaves.
Most of the settlers who moved into Texas.
He said at the end of the day, so he's not saying that it wasn't Irish. He's saying that others wound up taking that invitation and coming too. But he's letting you know that the Irish had slaves too. He said, and they brought the slaves because they said, we got all this land. Who's going to work it? Surely not by our hands.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to bring some more slaves over here. Come on.
This came from the southern states. Many of them were slave owners themselves. So they naturally saw Texas as an area for expansion of slavery in America. But as more Americans
heard that, so they saw Texas as an area of expansion for America, right? And they said, man, okay, they're opening the arms to us. We're gonna come in, and we're gonna make this more the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think we had done it on this show where we showed a map of how the United States grew from the colonies to all the land they annexed and stuff like that, right? That's that manifest destiny stuff. We'll see if we talk about it if we have time, but go ahead.
Moved into Texas, they suddenly began confronting the reality that the Mexican government had abolished slavery.
We believe in slavery. We want to bring slaves here so that we can really do well out here in this land, right? But as long as Mexico's governing, we can't have slaves. So this is not working. Ding, 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 ding. Now we start to open up the door and see what their real... You know, I got to read about the Manifest Destiny. Let's go to the Manifest Destiny thing.
Lego. Israel is back. We back. Israel is back. We got back. The nations running scared because Israel is back. All lies on us because we keeping them laws. When the Lord will return, Babylon will fall. Precepts solid. We got them on lock. God's chosen people with Christ as our rock. Israel is back. Israel is back. You heathen, get ready for our whip to crack.
Damn.